You've been taught to mold yourself into something palatable, accessible, agreeable, always ready to bend. To smile when your soul feels heavy, to answer when silence would serve you better, to explain yourself even when no one has earned the right to hear your truth. Society conditioned you to be reachable, predictable, a puppet dancing on strings held by others. But what has that compliance given you? A hollow peace, a fleeting sense of belonging? No, it's turned you into a reactor, not a creator. A marionette jerked by the whims of those who've learned to press your buttons. And they will press them relentlessly because the world is full of people addicted to control. But here's the secret. Their power only works if you leave your triggers exposed. This is where true mastery begins, not in building walls, but in dissolving the need to react. As Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Awakening means realizing that every time you explode, justify, or scramble to explain, you're handing over your sovereignty. Silence isn't emptiness, it's a stratagem. Mystery isn't aloofness, it's magnetism. Think of those who command a room without uttering a word. They don't dominate through noise. They radiate an unshakable calm, refusing to be an open book for casual browsers. They guard their inner world like a sacred text, understanding a fundamental truth. The less you give, the more others hunger to know. Letting go is the next layer of liberation, not of people or dreams, but of the compulsion to cling, to relationships that drain, jobs that diminish, the desperate need to be understood. "I am not what happened to me," Jung wrote. "I am what I choose to become." And what you choose now is to stop begging for validation. When you release the need to convince others of your worth, you reclaim your power. Those who judge you aren't seeking truth. They're seeking confirmation of their own stories. Don't feed their narratives. Let your silence become the boundary they cannot cross. In a world addicted to noise, the quietest voice holds the most authority. Coldness? No. This is emotional maturity, the art of responding instead of reacting. It's knowing that not every message deserves your energy. Not every provocation merits a reply. When you withdraw from games you never agreed to play, something shifts. The manipulators falter, the energy vampires starve, and you move in a stillness so profound it becomes a superpower. The peace of no longer explaining, no longer performing, is a revelation. But to get there, you must sever the umbilical cord tying you to others' approval. This is the paradox. To become unreachable, you must first confront your fear of abandonment. That fear, that gnawing ache, is what keeps you small, reachable, perpetually available. But boundaries aren't cruel. They're clarions of self-respect. They whisper, "I am not negotiable." And yes, some will leave. Let them. They were illusions clinging to a version of you that no longer exists. As you shed the weight of their expectations, you'll find a lightness you forgot was possible. Energy is currency. Spend it on those who value it. Protect it from those who see you as an emotional landfill. Your visions will become clear, Jung reminds us, only when you can look into your own heart. What you'll find there isn't a plea for acceptance, but a roar for authenticity. Mystery and calm aren't flaws. They're the armor of those who've stopped shouting to be heard. They're the marks of someone who'd rather walk alone than lose themselves in a crowd. So ask yourself, what are you clinging to that's poisoning your peace? What explanations are you still rehearsing? What apologies for existing as you are? The moment you stop handing out pieces of yourself like cheap souvenirs, you'll feel a shift. Not in the world, in you. A quiet certainty that needs no fanfare, no applause. Because the deepest truths don't require witnesses, they simply are. This isn't isolation. It's sovereignty. The kind of power that doesn't announce itself because it doesn't need to. It's in the pause before you speak, the breath before you decide, the unshakable knowing that you are no longer for sale. And when someone tries to provoke you, let them meet the void, not out of spite, but because their chaos no longer resonates in your atmosphere. You've become a closed circuit, a self-sustaining force. But here's the rub. This transformation demands brutal honesty. You'll grieve the persona you've abandoned, the people pleaser, the perpetual available one. That version of you kept you safe, yes. But safety is not the same as aliveness. As Jung observed, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And who you are is not a puppet. You are the puppeteer, the silent, steady hand that chooses which strings to pull and which to cut. Now, let's pull back another layer. What happens when you stop performing and start being? Your energy shifts. People sense it, not through your words, but your presence. The way you occupy space, the rhythm of your silence, the refusal to rush. They detect, even subconsciously, that you're no longer a hostage to their opinions. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You become a mirror, forcing others to confront their own inadequacies, their need to control, to dissect, to own. But be warned, this kind of power terrifies those still trapped in the noise. They'll label you cold, distant, changed. Let them. Labels are the weapons of those too afraid to face their own reflections. Your job isn't to correct them, but to keep deepening your resolve. With every no unapologetically spoken, every boundary silently enforced, you're carving a monument to self-respect. And monuments don't beg for visitors. They draw pilgrims. There's a quiet revolution in choosing not to meet every outburst with a response, every demand with compliance. It's the art of holding your center while the world spins chaos around you. Consider this. What others project onto you, their judgments, their urgency, their noise, is often a mirror of their own unrest. As Carl Jung wisely noted, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you refuse to engage in their storms, you're not avoiding conflict. You're refusing to become a character in their unresolved story. You become the observer, the one who sees the game but doesn't play. This is where active patience becomes your ally. Not the passive waiting of resignation, but a deliberate pause, a space where you let life unfold without forcing your will upon it. Think of the oak tree that doesn't rush to grow. It roots deeply, silently, knowing storms will come and go. Your power lies not in reaction, but in response, the measured, intentional act that emerges from clarity, not fear. The impulsive mind screams for resolution, but the wise mind understands. Not every fire needs extinguishing. Some burn themselves out when starved of oxygen. Now, let's speak of value, your value. It isn't determined by how many hands grab for your time, your attention, your heart. It's defined by how you steward those treasures. When you offer yourself cheaply, always available, always explaining, always adjusting, you teach others to devalue you. But when you treat your energy as sacred, others learn to approach with reverence. This isn't arrogance, it's arithmetic. You have finite reserves. Spend them on what nourishes, not depletes. Here's a truth rarely acknowledged. Presence and availability are not synonyms. You can be fully present in a moment, engaging, authentic, alive, without being perpetually on call. Presence is a gift. Availability is a transaction. The magic lies in knowing when to step forward and when to retreat, not as a tactic, but as a rhythm. Like the tide, you choose when to meet the shore and when to pull back, carrying your mysteries into deeper waters. Emotional dignity is the quietest rebellion. It's walking away from debates that demand you shrink your truth. It's refusing to chase closure from those who'd rather leave wounds open. It's the realization that not every why deserves an answer. Not every critic deserves an audience. Dignity says, I will not kneel to make you comfortable. It's the unspoken pact you make with yourself. I will not betray my soul to keep your illusions intact. And then there's the liberation of conscious rejection, the courage to say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things, to the job that pays well but costs your peace, to the relationship that ignites passion but extinguishes your light, to the noise that drowns out your intuition. Rejection isn't cruelty, it's curation. You're not here to collect experiences like trinkets. You're here to choose what alchemizes your soul, especially, when it defies logic. This journey's zenith? The day you realize you no longer need others to understand you to feel whole. Your worth isn't a jury's verdict, it's a bedrock truth. You stop translating yourself into languages others can parse. You stop carving pieces of your heart to fit their narrow shelves. As Jung reminds us, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Yet, in that acceptance, you find an invincible serenity. You become a closed ecosystem, self-sustaining, self-renewing. Watch what happens then. The people who once drained you grow uneasy around your calm. The drama that once hooked you finds no foothold. You'll feel lighter, not because life gets easier, but because you've stopped carrying the weight of others' expectations. You'll notice subtler beauties, the way silence hums with insight, the way boundaries bloom into self-respect. You'll attract fewer faces, but truer ones. They won't clamor for your energy, they'll reflect it. But this path isn't linear. Some days the old hooks will snag you, the urge to explain, to people, please, to seek validation. When that happens, don't weaponize shame. Instead ask, what is this moment teaching me about where I'm still tender? Healing isn't the absence of wounds, it's the wisdom to tend them with compassion. Every lapse is a lesson, not a failure. In the end, becoming unreachable isn't about others. It's a homecoming, a return to the essence that existed before the world told you to be smaller, softer, safer. It's the reclaiming of your right to exist without apology, to occupy space without justification. You'll find, perhaps for the first time, that the love you once begged for was always inside you, a wellspring no one can contaminate or take. So let them call you distant. Let them mistake your depth for detachment. While they're busy dissecting your silence, you'll be elsewhere, building, breathing, becoming. And one day, without fanfare, you'll realize the chains were never locked. They were merely draped over you, waiting for you to shrug them off. The final lesson? You were never meant to be reachable. You were meant to be free. Free to choose, free to pause, free to walk away. Free to guard your flame so fiercely that when you do share it, it's not a flicker, it's a beacon. This is your birthright, not to be claimed but remembered. So breathe, let go, and watch in quiet awe as the world rearranges itself around your stillness.